The city skyline shimmered beyond my window, a canvas of indigo and violet, streaked with the first glimmers of neon. I sat alone in my cramped Brooklyn apartment, the faint buzz of the television, my only companion, its drone, a feeble shield against the silence that pressed in like a living thing. My fingers hovered over my phone, the screen glowing with a reminder, 3 months' rent overdue. The weight of it sank into my bones, a cold, relentless truth. No job, no savings, no lifeline. I'd sold my mother's old jewelry, worked double shifts at the diner, until my feet bled, begged for extensions. Nothing had been enough. A sharp knock at the door jolted me upright. My heart lurched, knowing who it would be before I even moved. I tightened the sash of my threadbare robe, its faded silk offering little protection against the world or against him. Vincent Delgado, my landlord, stood in the hallway, his tailored suit stark against the peeling paint of my building. His eyes sharp and unyielding, traced over me with a slow, deliberate hunger that made my skin prickle. "Cassandra," he said, his voice smooth as polished stone, devoid of warmth. 3 months behind. You know why I'm here. I clutched the robe tighter, a futile gesture. I know, Mr. Delgado. I just need a little more time. He stepped inside without invitation, his presence shrinking the room. The door clicked shut behind him, and the air grew thick, charged with something unspoken, a regrettable situation. He murmured, his gaze lingering on the curve of my neck, the bare skin exposed above the robe. "A woman like you struggling so. Beautiful yet so helpless." Heat crept up my throat, a mix of shame and something I didn't want to name. "I'll figure it out," I said, my voice barely steady. He sighed, a calculated sound, heavy with mock disappointment. "Time doesn't pay debts, my dear." His eyes locked onto mine, unblinking, predatory. "But perhaps there's another way to settle this." My stomach twisted, the implication clear as glass. I'd known this moment was coming, had felt it in the way his gaze lingered during our past encounters, in the way his voice dropped when he spoke my name. "What are you suggesting?" I asked, though I already knew. He smirked, a faint, cruel curve of his lips. "Don't play naive, Cassandra. You're smarter than that." He stepped closer, his cologne a rich masculine scent, filling the space between us. "No one else needs to know. This stays between us. I can make your financial troubles disappear." My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I wanted to scream, to shove him out, but the truth was colder. I had no other options. The diner had cut my hours, my friends had no money to lend, and the eviction notice was already taped to my door. Desperation, that sly negotiator, whispered in my ear. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as ash, and gave a single desolate nod. His smile deepened, a gleam of triumph in his eyes. A wise choice. His hand reached out, not for me, but for the sash of my robe, tugging it loose with a slow, deliberate motion. The fabric parted, and I stood exposed, my breath catching as his gaze roamed freely. Very wise. He led me to the bedroom, his grip on my arm firm but unhurried, as if savoring the moment. The air in the room felt heavy, thick with the scent of his cologne, and something deeper, something primal. My pulse raced, my body caught between dread and a strange nervous heat I couldn't explain. He stood by the bed, his eyes never leaving mine, as he undid his belt, the soft clink of the buckle deafening in the silence. "I trust you understand what's expected," he said, his voice low, commanding. I hesitated, my fingers curling into fists at my sides. His lips twitched, not quite a smile. "No need for surprise, Cassandra. A deal's a deal." I sank to my knees, my movements mechanical, as if someone else were guiding my body. His fingers threaded through my hair, a subtle pressure as I leaned forward, his warmth overwhelming, his scent intoxicating. I pressed my lips against him, tentative at first, then with a strange clinical precision. He exhaled sharply, his grip tightening, and the low sounds he made sent an unexpected thrill through me, a forbidden spark I knew I shouldn't feel. His breathing deepened, his body tensing as he lost himself in the moment. For a fleeting second, I felt a flicker of control, a power I hadn't expected. But then he pulled back, his composure frayed, his voice thick with need. "Get on top," he rasped. I obeyed, rising and straddling him on the bed, my robe falling open completely. His hands found my thighs, sliding up my skin, squeezing as if to claim every inch. "That's it," he murmured, his eyes, dark and intense, locked on mine. "You feel better than I imagined." I aligned myself with him, a sharp gasp escaping as I sank down, the sensation overwhelming. He groaned, his fingers digging into my hips, guiding me. I tried to focus on the mechanics to keep it transactional, but my body betrayed me. A deep, undeniable pulse of pleasure rippled through me with every motion, and I bit my lip to keep my face neutral. "Go on," he urged, his voice strained. "Ride me like you mean it." I moved faster, my breath shallow each thrust, sending another wave of illicit sensation through me. His smirk told me he saw through my pretense. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" he murmured. "No," I lied, my voice breaking as my body contradicted me. His grip tightened, his hips rising to meet mine in a perfect driving rhythm. The tension built a slow, insistent heat, coiling inside me, threatening to spill over. "Keep going," he growled, his control slipping, his eyes drinking in every movement. I dug my nails into his chest, holding on, as the pleasure crested, unstoppable. He tensed beneath me, his fingers locking me in place as he reached his peak, a low groan escaping his lips. Seconds later, I followed, my body trembling with the intensity, though I swallowed my moans, keeping my expression unreadable. We lay there breathless, skin damp and warm. I moved off him, sitting at the edge of the bed, pulling my robe around me. Silence stretched between us, heavy with the weight of what we'd done. "You surprised me," he said, his voice smooth again, amused. "I didn't expect you to enjoy it quite that much." I ignored the heat in my stomach. "It was just a deal," I murmured. He chuckled. "If that's what you need to believe." The silence returned, but it wasn't shame that filled me. A part of me had liked it more than I wanted to admit. And then he spoke again, his voice cutting through the quiet. "I have another proposition." I glanced at him, wary. "What do you mean?" He leaned against the headboard, his shirt still open, his expression unreadable. "You enjoyed this." "I know you did, and there are discerning men who'd pay good money for a woman like you." I stiffened, my breath catching. "You're joking." "Not at all." His eyes held mine, unblinking. "You said your options were gone." "They don't have to be. You could turn this into something lucrative." My pulse hammered. "That's different." This was just what? His smirk deepened. "A favor." "Fun." I turned away, my mind racing. I should have been disgusted, but I wasn't. He was right, I'd enjoyed it, and the thought of doing it again, of being desired, of turning desperation into power, didn't feel as impossible as it should have. "It's your choice," he said, standing and buttoning his shirt. "But if you say yes, I know 2 gentlemen who'd pay very well for a night with you." A chill ran through me. 2 men. "How much?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "More than you've made in a single night in your life." I exhaled slowly, my heart pounding. 1 night, 2 men. A choice that could change everything. I lifted my chin and nodded. "All right, Mr. Delgado." He reached for his phone, his smile predatory. "Good girl. I'll make the call." The next evening, I stood before the mirror in my bedroom, smoothing the tight, low-cut dress over my hips. Black daring, it clung to every curve, the neckline plunging just enough to tease. Vincent had chosen it along with stilettos that made my legs look endless. My reflection was a stranger's bold, confident someone I barely recognized. My hands trembled as I adjusted my hair, the soft waves framing my face. Why was I nervous? I'd made my choice. There was no turning back. "You look perfect," Vincent murmured from the doorway, his eyes roaming over me with slow approval. "They'll be obsessed." I exhaled through my nose, steadying myself. "Who are they?" "Friends," he said, his smirk deepening. "Generous ones. Give them a good night, Cassandra, and you'll never worry about rent again. A knock at the door stole my breath. They were here. Vincent's eyes gleamed. Showtime, sweetheart. I turned toward the door, my pulse a wild drumbeat, and opened it. 2 men stood there, their presence commanding the cramped hallway. The taller one, broad-shouldered, with a confident air, had eyes that locked onto me with immediate interest. The other, leaner, with sharp, observant features, carried a quiet intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. They stepped inside their gazes, never leaving me, and the air crackled with anticipation. I led them into the living room, my heels clicking softly, each step deliberate. They followed close, their presence enveloping me, 2 sets of eyes tracing every movement. I'd agreed to this, and a part of me against all reason wanted it. The taller one, Marcus, reached for me first, his hand settling on my waist, firm and possessive. "Let's take care of this," he murmured, his fingers brushing the strap of my dress, teasing the fabric as he met my gaze. The other, Ethan, lingered behind his breath, warm against my shoulder, sending a ripple of heat through me. Layers slipped away, my dress, their shirt's fabric falling to the floor as hands explored, memorizing every curve. I reached out my fingers, tracing the hard lines of their bodies, testing their reactions. Their eyes stayed on me, hungry, waiting. I moved with intention, undoing their belts, with slow, measured precision, feeling the tension beneath my touch. Marcus made a low sound, his hand tilting my chin to meet his gaze. "Just like that," he said, his voice smooth-edged with something primal. Ethan's fingers brushed my jaw, his touch lighter, but no less commanding, as he watched me with quiet intensity. Kneeling, I leaned toward Marcus, my lips brushing against him, tasting the heat, exploring with deliberate care. His fingers wove through my hair, guiding me gently, his breath hitching. Ethan wasn't forgotten. My hand worked him with equal attention, drawing soft gasps from him as his fingers grazed my skin. Their combined presence, the quiet sounds they made, sent a deep warmth curling through me, exhilarating and dangerous. "That's it, Marcus," murmured his voice thick with satisfaction. They let me set the pace, losing themselves in my touch. Then Ethan stepped back, his voice steady. "Come here, we're just getting started." I settled onto the bed, my body thrumming with anticipation. Marcus positioned himself between my legs, his fingers tracing slow circles along my thighs, teasing, building the tension. Ethan knelt beside me, his hand tilting my face toward his gaze locking onto mine. "Let's see how sweet you are," Marcus said, his voice laced with amusement. His lips found me slow and deliberate, sending a shudder through my body. A gasp caught in my throat as he explored each movement, precise, unraveling me. Ethan leaned in his mouth, brushing mine, before deepening the kiss, his lips parting against mine, muffling the sounds I couldn't hold back. They moved in sync, one unraveling me with his mouth, the other consuming me with his kiss, their touches perfectly timed. "She's incredible," Ethan murmured, his voice reverent. I should have hesitated, but I didn't. I wanted more, and they knew it. They guided me effortlessly, shifting me onto all fours, my body still buzzing from their touch. Ethan moved behind me, his hands steady on my waist. "You ready for more?" he asked, his voice low, knowing. I nodded, and he pressed forward, a slow, deep pressure that sent warmth spiraling through me. My fingers gripped the sheets, my breath hitching, as he moved steady and deliberate. Marcus knelt in front of me, his fingers skimming my jaw. "Let me feel you," he murmured. I parted my lips, welcoming him, the heat of him against me, his rhythms syncing with Ethan's. "Just like that," Marcus whispered, his thumb brushing my cheek. They moved together, guiding me, their touches precise, their rhythms perfectly matched. A moan escaped me, vibrating against Marcus, making him inhale sharply. Behind me, Ethan's pace quickened, drawing another gasp as the warmth deepened. "You love this, don't you?" Marcus teased, his voice knowing. I whimpered, my body betraying the truth, reveling in every moment. They shifted me again, Marcus lying back, his hands firm on my hips as I straddled him. "Show me how much you want this," he murmured. I sank onto him, a deep warmth building the stretch, sending a shudder through me. His head fell back, a groan slipping from his lips as I moved. Ethan knelt behind me, his fingers teasing, testing, waiting for my reaction. "Take your time," he murmured, his breath hot against my ear. I exhaled, my body adjusting as he pressed forward, the heat intensifying. They moved in tandem, Marcus steadying my hips, Ethan pressing closer, their rhythms syncing. "That's it," Marcus groaned, his voice raw. The pressure built, coiling tighter, my breath coming faster as the sensation overwhelmed me. "You're incredible, Ethan," whispered, his fingers skimming my spine. I couldn't hold back the tension, unraveled warmth crashing through me in waves. Marcus tensed beneath me, his grip tightening as he followed Ethan's low groan, signaling his release moments later. The room fell silent, our breaths slowing, the air heavy with the aftermath. I lay between them, my body still humming, my mind grappling with the truth I'd enjoyed. It wanted it, craved it. Life had stripped away my illusions, forcing me to confront a strength I hadn't known I possessed. This path wasn't chosen, but it was mine, and in it I found a resilience that would carry me forward, no matter what came next.